Then we will start this meaningful occasion with the opening remarks. We will have the opening remarks by His Excellency Mr. Lee Dong-ryul, Ambassador for International Cyber Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my great honor to welcome you to the 2024 World Emerging Security Forum. My sincere thanks to go to CIPRI and KAIST for their tremendous contribution to this forum. Just months ago, the Nobel Prize Committee recognized the extraordinary era we live in, awarding not one but two prizes to pioneers in artificial intelligence. One celebrates the breakthrough in AI-driven protein folding, unlocking possibilities in medicine, and the other recognizes the transformative power of generative AI. These accolades represent the essence of our time, an age where technological innovation is reshaping the very fabric of our world, offering unprecedented opportunities as well as risks. The tectonic plates of global security, too, are shifting beneath our feet, and emerging technologies redefine the fundamentals of our national security, such as who, what, where, and when. Let's first consider the where. To put things into perspective, in the 1940s, the advent of air as a new domain of warfare had overwhelmed the strategists who suddenly had to think three-dimensionally to defend their nations. Today's multi-domain goes beyond the physical into cyberspace and above the air into the space, all enabled by digital and space technologies. Meantime, cutting-edge technologies are changing the who in a profound way. The lines between the state and non-state actors blur as off-the-shelf dual-use technologies become readily available. Autonomous systems further challenge the distinction between humans and machines. In cyberspace, anonymity inherent in that space turns the question of who nearly unanswerable. Then, the when. As threat permeates our daily lives, traditional distinction between wartime and peacetime is fast disappearing. Malicious cyber activities such as cryptocurrency haste, data theft, and disinformation campaign target our daily lives and democratic institutions underpinning our society. Even activities once seen purely commercial, like securing raw material for industrial growth, have transformed into matters of strategic urgency. Finally, the what. That is the nature of the threat we face and the defense mechanisms that can be employed. In the past, technological development brought the displacement of the old by the new, bow yield to guns, horse to tanks. But as we see in today's conflict, the rise of drones has not made nuclear stockpiles obsolete. Instead, technologies coexist and synergize with one another, bringing exponential complexities to both threat and defenses. We are left with a critical question. What will be the impact from AI, an ultimate enabler of everything, and quantum technology, an ultimate accelerator of everything? Would the world be more secure or less secure with these technologies? And what does the nexus between AI, cyber, and weapons of mass destruction mean for global security? Distinguished guests, this brave new world calls for more than ever vigilance and vision. Vigilance to clearly and lucidly understand the threat and the complexities, and the vision to see past the immediate to imagine a better and safer tomorrow, the one that we can achieve only by working together. Progress has been made. The UN members adopted the UN framework for responsible state behavior in the use of ICT, even though ambiguities persist on the application of international law and accountability. Agreement like the recent US-China Accord on maintaining human control in nuclear decision on the sidelines of the last two APEC meetings show that the multilateral mutual understanding is possible on such critical issues as AI's role in WMD. But we must act fast. The pace of technological advancement does not wait for us. If we fail to create a robust norms and governance fit for our time, we risk catastrophic consequences on security and human dignity. The Republic of Korea stands ready to lead in this effort. In line of our foreign policy vision of a global pivotal state, the Republic of Korea seeks to lead the global cooperation on emerging technologies and security challenges by serving triple role: facilitator, supporter, and initiator. Firstly, as an initiator, we have spearheaded a global conversation on new norms and governance, hosting the second AIM Summit in September. The blueprint for action adopted at the conference provided the momentum for us to again take the initiative in the UN General Assembly to adopt the first ever resolution on responsible AI in the military domain. As an elected member of UN Security Council, we are also enhancing the Council's engagement in cybersecurity and hosted an open debate on this issue in June. Secondly, as a facilitator, we champion the collaboration on core emerging technologies such as semiconductors, battery, AI, quantum, and space. We are founding member of a growing global network of AI Safety Institute, the seed of which was sown during AI Seoul Summit held in May this year. As chair of Mineral Security Partnership since July, we are also leading international efforts to stabilize and diversify supply chain, whose resilience is key to the broader stability. Lastly, as a supporter, we are actively bridging digital divide across all regions and promoting open, free, and secure cyberspace, leveraging our global growing official development assistance. Underlying our work is the understanding that strengthening the cybersecurity capacity of nations most vulnerable is crucial to fortify the weakest link in global networks. The Seoul Declaration adopted during the AI Seoul Summit in 2024 set another milestone, recognizing inclusivity as a priority equal to safety and innovation in AI governance. We are leading by example at home too. Our cybersecurity strategy adopted in February, its implementation plan adopted in September, and the launch of National AI Committee in October underscores our unwavering commitment to safety, inclusivity, and innovation. Distinguished guests, since 2021, the World Emerging Security Forum has sought to catalyze global discourse on international security, recognizing the importance of multi-stakeholder engagement in our ever-evolving security landscape. It's therefore deeply encouraging to see the collaborative spirit among the broad spectrum of thought leaders and experts present in this room. Government, international organizations, academia, industry, and civil society, each of us hold a critical piece of larger puzzle. By working together with vigilance and vision, we can harness the opportunities while minimizing the risks of emerging technologies. As we come together to share our insight, let us leverage this opportunity to chart a path forward toward a safer world for generations to come. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for highlighting the importance of this special occasion on where, when, and what. Thank you very much for your leadership. And next, Mr. Dan Smith, Director of the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, will deliver his welcoming remarks. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Rhee, Excellencies, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's really my pleasure to join in welcoming you all to the World Emerging Security Forum 2024. Allow me to begin by saying that it's been a pleasure and an honor for the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute to assist and work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea in preparing the forum and to participate here. Let me add that, to me, it would feel inappropriate not to acknowledge that Tuesday night's events create an unusual part of the setting for our meeting today. I don't want to comment, except to say that I am happy that in the Republic of Korea, at least, democratic institutions and culture are passing their test. World security today is beset by many challenges. They include aggression, provocative and confrontational behavior by some states, intractable local and regional conflicts and wars, the impact of ecological disruption, including climate change, and the challenges posed by emerging technologies. Some of these are immediate, direct threats requiring urgent response. Some are more long-term. They too, however, require attention without delay. And for both the policy and the research communities that focus on issues of peace and security, part of the problem we face is the difficulty of finding a balance, so that paying attention to the urgent challenges does not completely dominate our priorities and leave no bandwidth for the long-term issues. And that's one of the reasons why, since its inception, I've found the World Emerging Security Forum to be so important and productive. It offers an opportunity to look beyond the immediate threats and focus on what is changing, what is unfolding. But we shouldn't think that the opportunity to look at the long-term issues is a reason just to sit back and ponder, taking our own sweet time. The war in Ukraine reminds us how the different time frames can come together in one problem. It's an old-fashioned war of aggression, with tactics in both offense and defense that are reminiscent of the First World War and of battles fought not far from today's front lines. It's also a hypermodern war, in which some of the tactics and tools, the drones, hybrid warfare, the battle in cyberspace, would have seemed only a few years ago like pure science fiction. So the fact is that tomorrow has arrived already, even if yesterday is still with us. And as for taking our time to understand problems, we've had too much of that in the last 40 to 45 years, since the global challenge of climate change was outlined to us by scientists. Actually, it goes back further. The basic science of global warming was worked out in the 19th century, and the definitive calculus of the impact of climate change was produced by a depressed Swede named Svante Arrhenius in 1896. His estimate that a geometric increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere would cause an arithmetic increase in air temperature was original, well-researched, and is not seriously in doubt today. We cannot say we have not been warned about climate change. So I have here a book published for CIPRI by the Oxford University Press. It's not very long, 229 pages, including the index. It's entitled Arms and Artificial Intelligence. It explores the applications for weapons development and for arms control of advanced computing and especially of AI. It offers an overview on many of the problems we'll be talking about today. Pause for thought. It was published in 1987. We cannot say we have not been warned. But take a moment to think about the date of publication, maybe with some humility. Think how long after 1987 it was before we first engaged with the issue. Think about the limited degree to which our governments are on top of the definition and problem identification, even today, developing a cross-government approach and alignment with allies. We may think about how difficult it is for research to see the interconnections between questions often looked at in isolation from each other, such as AI and strategic stability. And where there is some degree of familiarity with the issues, we may think about how recently that's been found and how others are still scrambling to get on top of the problem. To my mind, a large part of the purpose of this forum is to help cut down the time it seems to take to grapple with and understand new issues and their implications for peace and security. So I'm going to focus for a second on one part of today's agenda. Quantum technologies are making bold steps forward. Unfolding advances in understanding the behavior of quantum systems seem to offer promise to transform technologies for sensing, imaging, navigation, computing, information science, communications, and more. There could be many benefits, including quicker detection of chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear hazards and threats, advances in climate modeling and understanding ecosystem behavior, all of which have positive implications for peace and security. And of course, as with any technology, there can be downsides, and will be. Quantum advances may undermine encryption, for example, reducing the security of communications and of financial transactions. Many of the downsides will be the result of the competition between states. For example, quantum sensors may be able to detect objects hidden underground in the ocean that are undetectable by other means, meaning surveillance of submarines becomes more straightforward, and therefore the security of a submarine-based deterrent becomes less secure. Do we want to make the same mistake with quantum as we did with AI? My colleagues at CIPRI are starting to make progress in identifying the peace and security implications of the new quantum revolution. Mention again that volume on artificial intelligence and suggest that this time we don't want to wait 30 to 40 years to listen to what my colleagues are saying. Arms control is collapsing and a new nuclear arms race is starting to unfold. Compared to the arms race in the Cold War, this one will likely be less about warhead numbers and more about both cyberspace and outer space. It will likely be three-sided rather than two-sided. And if the world gets through a first decade of danger and hostility, to arrive at an historical moment when, as before, the good sense of agreeing guardrails and limits is accepted on all sides, the technological challenges of confidence-building measures and arms control are going to be dauntingly different. So we have to be better at facing up to the security challenges as they emerge. In the research community, we need to be better at focusing on risk, in which there is necessarily a degree of uncertainty, rather than hunting for proof, which always means looking at the past, and therefore sometimes means waiting until it's too late to do anything. And the policy world needs to be better at balancing priorities so as to give more attention to the future and to risks that are significant, even if uncertain. That's why the World Emerging Security Forum has become an important event, bringing policy and research communities together to look at key dimensions of the changing security horizon. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention, thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs again for really good cooperation, and play my part in welcoming you to an important and engaging day at this forum. Thank you very much.
Please give a huge round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Dan Smith. Your words have truly set the tone for today's discussions. We really appreciate for your commitment as well. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, please now allow me to introduce Professor Kwang-hyung Lee, a president of the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. He has sent us a video of his welcoming address. Please draw your attention to the screen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kwang-hyung Lee, the president of KAIST. It's a great honor to welcome you to the 2024 World Emerging Security Forum here in Seoul. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Minister of Foreign Affairs for organizing this forum in collaboration with the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute and KAIST. I would like to thank the distinguished experts and guests who have joined us today, including Cho Tae-yeol, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea, and Mr. Stefan Reben, Chair of the Governing Board of CIPRI. Now, in its fourth year, the World Emerging Security Forum serves as a vital platform for fostering global cooperation on the evolving challenges of security. This year's theme focuses on the risks and opportunities brought about by emerging technologies in the realms of security and geopolitics. As a leader in AI, cybersecurity, and advanced technologies, KAIST drives both innovation and practical solutions. Through its interdisciplinary approach, KAIST bridges science, policy, and global security, and will continue to contribute to forums like WESF, tackling critical challenges and shaping future strategies. I hope today's discussion will foster international collaboration and responsible innovations, paving the way for a secure and equitable future. Together, we can ensure that technology serves to promote peace and unity. Thank you very much.
Please give a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite our keynote speaker, Mr. Carl Bildt, co-chair of the European Council on Foreign Relations and the former Prime Minister of Sweden. He has sent us a video of his keynote speech. Let's welcome him onto the screen.
Let me start by saluting this most important international gathering and very much regret that I'm not there with you in Seoul today. We live in a world that is more competitive, more confrontational, and more conflicted than just a couple of years ago. In Europe, we live with the reality of Russia's large-scale aggression against Ukraine, in violation of every aspect of international law and global order. Russia has thrown its entire armed might against a nation that wished no more than shaping its own future. It's a conflict with massive, meat-grinding human waves attacks, hand in hand with sophisticated drones, industrial mobilization, ballistic missiles, space operation and information warfare. Hundreds of thousands of lives have already been lost. Destruction is massive. The outcome of that conflict will shape European and global security for years to come. The link between the outcast regimes of Moscow and Pyongyang does illustrate that. But the global security landscape is challenging in very many ways. Climate change and global health should certainly not be ignored. And beyond this and all of the other conflicts dominating our days, we stand at a critical juncture where accelerating technological change intersects with intensifying geopolitical competition, creating unprecedented security challenges. The governance of artificial intelligence, or the convergence of artificial intelligence with nuclear command and control systems, represents one of the most critical challenges. AI is being integrated into early warning systems, into threat assessments, and decision support tools also for nuclear forces. While this does promise faster response time and better threat detection, it also introduces new risks of algorithmic bias, system vulnerabilities, and potential flash crashes in crisis situations. The November 16 statement by the leaders of China and the United States saying, quote, "The need to maintain human control over the decision to use nuclear weapons," end quote, is therefore most important. Other nuclear powers should follow. And in the same statement, it stressed, quote, "The need to consider carefully the potential risks in develop AI technology in the military field in a prudent and responsible manner," end of the quote. These are important statements. And there are numerous important initiatives underway on the issue of AI governance and security. The AI Safety Summit in Bletchley Park with follow-ups in Seoul and San Francisco, the G7 Hiroshima process, and the UN High-Level Advisory Body on AI are among the processes that seek to establish some sort of international governance framework. The AI Action Summit in Paris in February will also address these issues. And there is the Frontier Model Forum that is bringing together the leading AI companies. That represents a promising steps towards industrial self-regulation that should be welcome. Beyond AI, synthetic biology has emerged as a critical security concern. The CRISPR-generating gene editing technology and automated biolabs have dramatically lowered the barriers to creating modified organisms. While this does promise important medical breakthroughs, they also enable the potential creation of engineered pathogens with enhanced transmissibility and lethality. Traditional boundaries between physical and digital security have dissolved. Today's threats are hybrid, they're interconnected, and they are often amplified by these emerging technologies. Advanced AI models can now generate highly convincing deepfakes. They can manipulate the public discourse, and they can design novel cyber attacks. The democratization of these technologies means that sophisticated capabilities hitherto reserved for resource-rich nation-states are now potentially accessible to a much broader range of potential adversaries. Our critical infrastructure faces unprecedented vulnerability. We see a rapid expansion of the Internet of Things that creates a lot of attack surfaces that weren't there before. Power grids, transportation systems, and healthcare facilities are increasingly networked, with the exposure also to attacks that entails. Ransomware attacks can paralyze entire cities, and we see sophisticated state-sponsored actors probe our industrial control systems. All of these changes are daunting, but they are not insurmountable. They require a shift in how we approach security. First, we must of course establish robust international frameworks for AI governance, particularly in military applications. This includes developing shared protocols for testing and validating AI systems, establishing clear human-in-the-loop requirements for critical decisions, and creating verification mechanisms for AI safety claims. Secondly, we need a new coordinated global approach to biosecurity. This could involve strengthening the Biological Warfare Weapons Convention and must involve developing early warning systems for engineered pathogens while protecting the research that is necessary. Third, we must move beyond traditional siloed approach to security. The interconnected nature of modern threats demands integrated response that spans cyber, physical, and biological domains. This means breaking down barriers, fostering unprecedented cooperation between government agencies, private sector partners, and, most importantly, international allies. Absolute security will be an illusion. It is rather the resilience of our societies and the resilience of our economies faced with a multitude of security challenges that must be in focus. And as we look to the future, technological change is only going to accelerate. Quantum computing will be there with all of the consequences. Our ability to manage all of these emerging technologies while preserving strategic stability will define international security for very many years to come. We must act decisively, but thoughtfully, balancing innovation with security and balancing individual liberty with collective security. The choice is not whether to embrace or not these technologies. They will come, and they do bring the promise of a new age of scientific discovery, a new age of enlightenment, perhaps even so. The choice is whether we will shape that development and deployment in accordance with our values and our security interests, or if we will allow others to do so. Thank you.
Please join me in giving him a big round of applause. And thank you to Honorable Mr. Carl Bildt for those invaluable words. And ladies and gentlemen, next we will have the words of congratulations delivered by Mr. James Andrew Lewis, a Senior Vice President of the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He is joining us here at the site. Please welcome him to the stage with a big round of applause.
Thank you. It's good to see everyone. And congratulations on this forum, which is another sign of Korea's emergence as a global power. I'm going to talk about the political context for some of the things we've been discussing, and we'll discuss for the rest of the day. Technology, as you've heard, is reshaping the world, but there are other forces that we need to consider. The rise of China is perhaps the most important, accompanied by the decline, hopefully temporary, of Europe. The emergence of a multipolar world order. We've been talking about this for at least a decade. It's new powers that don't necessarily comport with the visions and the views that we had, and certainly don't see the U.S. as the leader of the new order. We have the revanchism of former communist states. It turns out that 1990 was a turning point, not a victory. and we are dealing with the consequences of that. You have the disinterest of the United States, and note that I say disinterest, not decline. You can't lose 2 wars and expect your citizens to be happy, and that's kind of where we are, but the US remains primus inter pares, first among equals, and how it decides to go in the future will be important for the world. Not crucial, and I'm not making an entirely Eurocentric or American-centric point of view, but I think the place of the US is something that will be tested in the next few years. The knowledge revolution that technology has brought. The first knowledge revolution occurred when Gutenberg brought movable type to Europe, and it took 200 or 300 years to work out the political solutions to the problems that created. The solution then that emerged in the 19th century was parliamentary democracy. We're seeing increasing signs that it's no longer adequate as it's currently structured, and it will take hopefully less than 2 or 3 centuries, but we are at the start of recasting politics nationally and internationally in light of the connectivity that technology brings. There are useful precedents that we can consider. Parliamentary democracy that emerged in the 19th century is one. The first industrial revolution, which began really at the end of the 17th century and ultimately led to global conflict. That global conflict led in turn in 1945 to a global approach that was based on rules and institutions. Those rules and institutions are now being challenged, and they must certainly be reinforced or rethought or perhaps even replaced. I'll call your attention to something that was known as the kitchen debate. This occurred in 1956 between Nikita Khrushchev and Richard Nixon, who was then the vice president. And the kitchen debate was essentially the 2 leaders arguing over whose system was better at producing new technologies, new ideas, at satisfying the wants of their service. It's worth bearing in mind that it took 30 years to conclude the kitchen debate, and we are at the start of a similar process now. Hopefully it won't take another 30 years, but this will be a long contest. Where does Korea fit in? I think this is an important question. And let's talk about Korea as a middle power. Middle powers have responsibilities. I gave a talk once, some years ago, to a member of the German military, and a German general said to me, "But why can't we be Switzerland?" And what I told him at the time was, well, you don't have enough cows and chocolate. That was the initial answer. The longer-term answer is you cannot evade responsibility when you are one of the largest economies, when you are a source of technological innovation, when you are an inspiration for democracy, and that applies to Germany. It also applies to Korea, right? Middle powers have responsibilities. Technology means, because of the connectivity it creates, because of the spread of knowledge it brings, because of the political tensions it leads to, technology means there can be no neutrality, right? What are our responsibilities then? When I say our, I mean a global community, not just Korea, not just the United States, not just the Europeans and others. We need to rebuild or restructure the order that came out of 1945. The core of that order remains valid. Respect for individual rights, the use of democracies and markets to shape national policy. But it clearly needs rethinking, right? And so that is the challenge before us. To rebuild a global order that's democratically centered at a time of unprecedented challenge to both democracy and to individual rights. What will this require? And I hope we can talk about this today. It will require negotiation and engagement. We must find, as with the kitchen debates, as with the Cuban Missile Crisis, as with earlier precedents that followed the catastrophe of World War II, we must find a way to engage the other side and to hopefully reach some sort of agreement with them. With that, let me say I look forward to today's discussion, which I think is vital for making progress in these crucial areas. I thank you again for your attendance, and I look forward to today. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give a big round of applause. Thank you to Mr. Lewis for sharing your thoughtful words for a secure world. Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Im Jong-in, Special Advisor to the President for Cyber of the Republic of Korea, will be giving us his words of congratulations. Please welcome him to the stage with a warm round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. As introduced, I am Special Advisor to the President for Cyber of the Republic of Korea. I'm Im Jong-in. I advise the President of the Republic of Korea on the issues of AI, cybersecurity, and emerging security issues. The speakers who have spoken before me talked about all the revolutionary impact of AI and other emerging technologies. As Ambassador Lee mentioned, I was actually in an AI academic conference in Amsterdam in October. As reported in Korea media outlets, Jeffrey Hinton won the Nobel Prize, and Denis Hassabis, CEO of Google DeepMind, won the Nobel Chemistry Prize the next day. Everybody recognized that this has become the era of AI. On November 30, 2022, generative AI came into life, and since then we have seen the revolutionary impact brought by AI. We are astounded by this impact, but at the same time, we're sometimes fearful of such changes. AI is currently transforming every aspect of our life, and it is a disruptive technology. Not only AI's capabilities, but also application of AI in every aspect of our lives are quite surprising. For example, Artemis will actually transport people to Mars by the year 2040. Whether that's possible, that's a question. Actually, since Apollo landed Moon in the area of space, there has not been much progress or major revolution made in the space area. However, the fifth Starship was launched recently, and Falcon Heavy was launched and actually made it back, and many astounding and amazing technologies have come to life thanks to the advances in AI. So currently, advances in AI are making a lot of revolutionary impact in the area of space. And just like Denis Hassabis won the Chemistry Nobel Prize, Alpha Kondo, like the protein binding technology, is something that humanity has been waiting for. Actually, it came into life in 2018. Actually, it took more than several years to understand an atomic structure of one particular protein. Only 0.1% of the structure of the protein was found in the past, but in 2022, AlphaFold was found by Google. So all the atomic structure of protein was found by Google, thanks to the capability of AI. So such disruptive changes brought by AI are being witnessed at the moment. And as we do so, we now have greater aspirations for the future. And I'm sure many have many aspirations for the future thanks to the capability of AI. However, as mentioned in the Munich Security Conference earlier this year, we do have the shared understanding that there are many risks brought by AI, along with the benefits and the opportunities brought by AI. Deepfakes and other cyber threats will be looming. And among the changes brought by AI, as mentioned by Ambassador Dong-yeol Lee today, we actually South Korea attended AI Safety Summit, and South Korea hosted Re-aim Summit as well. And in May this year, During the Seoul AI Summit, South Korea emphasized that not just safety, but the balance between safety, inclusiveness, and innovation is important. That was the argument and key point made by South Korea. And in San Francisco last month, 10 countries around the world, AI Safety Institute was agreed by these 10 countries. And safety, innovation, and inclusiveness and international cooperation have been recognized as the key elements for global cooperation in this field. And global information sharing was also emphasized on that occasion. Changes by AI, when they're viewed from the perspective of cybersecurity, could have impact on space systems. The progress was made in AI-powered space systems, and Starship and Starlink are the prime examples. And the UK space base also was built recently as well. And as mentioned earlier, quantum computing is also a new emerging issue. I've studied cybersecurity and quantum computing for my whole life. AI, this term was actually first coined in the 1950s. I was actually born in 1956, but I never had thought that AI would make such advances like this. That used to be just an imagination, but I had never thought that this would make such a great strides. And recently, McKinsey report pointed out that in 2035, quantum supremacy will be attained. But even so, as seen in the cases of the war in Ukraine, AI and emerging technologies could have impact on the military domain, and their application in many different areas could actually bring about new discussion on potential risks. And the question is whether we can control and rein in these risks. It's already here in the present day, but autonomous jet fighters and SQ and other autonomous weapon systems are going to be further developed. And from the perspective of cybersecurity, when the war in Ukraine first broke out, 2 hours before the war actually broke out, Mayasset LEO was first attacked by Russia, and that was actually successful even before the war actually broke out in Ukraine. NASA and Moonlight project are going on in order to test whether direct cyber attacks on satellites is possible or not. And actually, the tests reveal that such direct attacks on satellites is possible. So the AI technologies and space technologies that we currently rely on actually suggest that the cyberspace has been going through a lot of changes thanks to digital technologies, and we're currently overly reliant on these technologies. And now we are seeing the potential that through the space systems, such risk could spread and proliferate all around the world, and everything is connected thanks to networking technologies. As you know, the cyberspace has grown so much in size and scope. I did mention satellite attacks just now, but actually in the case of South Korea, for the last 2 decades, North Korea and cyber adversaries have been targeting South Korea so many times. And UN has reported many times about North Korea being the cyber pirates or cyber adversaries. As you know, North Korea has targeted cryptocurrency exchanges and has launched cyber attacks on these financial or other systems to fund their nuclear development programs. On these topics, we already know that AI and emerging technologies are offering opportunities, but they also bring risks, and we're all fearful of such risks. However, as a scientist, I'm an optimistic person on these topics. Even when facing difficulty, we can rise to the occasion and challenge. Rizal Meitner developed and discovered the nuclear fusion. When that was found for the first time, there was the Manhattan Project that was launched in response, and nuclear power plants led by Fermi were also created. And that led to the development of nuclear energy that we currently use as an energy resource. As you can see, we need to see these as dual-use technologies. So they can be risks, but at the same time, they can be technologies to our benefit. And we have always risen to the challenge. As the cyber threats grew in their impact and size and scope, the UN has discussed in depth about these, and Budapest Cybercrime Convention was also signed in response. And to respond to military threats, in 2012, Tallinn Manual was signed. However, that reflects mostly the Western-driven perspectives. Therefore, Russia, China, North Korea, such countries did not participate in the Tallinn Manual. However, what's hopeful and encouraging is that there was a recent UN consensus on cybercrime, and it is expected to be passed very soon. AI and emerging technologies, and particularly space technologies, will probably have repercussions and implications for human security, and I'm quite optimistic about the opportunities that will be brought by these technologies. Then we don't need to be fearful. We need to study and gain better understanding about these to better understand what kind of threats and opportunities are associated with these technologies. And we need to emphasize the importance of having global understanding on these topics. And starting from 2021, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs hosted this very meaningful forum, and now it has even more significance. So today, during this forum, AI and emerging technologies will be discussed. Demis Hassabis actually had an interview with New York Times and mentioned that AlphaFold was mentioned that as a way, an opportunity to bring about medical innovation. But at the same time, he expressed concerns about the potential of building bio weapons. Instead of having a groundless fear about these, we can actually overcome the fear by having discussions as such at a forum like this. I want to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea for hosting this forum, and I would like to ask all the experts and participants to have great productive discussion. Christmas is very near. I hope you have a great Christmas season and Happy
Please
New
give a
Year.
big hand. Thank you very much.